Okay, so we're going to end this series. So this is the episode 9 of this series. We're going to end this series. I guess I should talk like this so you can hear me. We're going to end this series exactly like we began. And I'm going to say, I am Wes from Wally Opus. It's a record label, and we also record podcasts now under the name Nectar. And you two would be who?
My name's Zac Parsons.
And I'm Jessica
And
Parsons.
you are...
We're the co-founders of the Honeymoon Coffee Company.
That's exactly right.
Now, are
And-
we calling it a series or a season? I feel like series is like the British version of season.
Okay, it's a season.
No, I wasn't correcting you. I was making sure that we were in England right now.
Okay, yeah, we could go there.
The series finale.
We do have Ted in the
Ted's
back.
back there. Yeah.
Okay, the spirit
So-
of Ted.
So I'm gonna start by asking an incredibly just simple question. Now that the doors are open, how do you two feel?
Relieved.
Tired. I mean, if you ask for like a one-word question, yeah, or a one-word answer, just kind of tired. Honestly, it feels amazing. Like it feels like we have transitioned. I think the way I was describing it was like it went from being a construction site that was going to be a coffee shop yesterday to like a coffee shop that happens to have a few construction things that need to get sort of buttoned up at the end.
Yeah.
And like what a coffee shop is a place for people.
Yep.
And then as the people have been like pouring in today, like it's just all sort of come together like we'd hoped, better than we hoped.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think when you work really hard on something, you hope that it's going to be well received, but you don't just assume that it's going to be well received. So it's been nice to hear everyone's positive comments.
Now, I will say we have a friendly audience. This is a friends and family event, so
Yeah, that's true.
You can kind of count on your friends to cheer you on. And I remember with our first location feeling some of that too. Like, hey, these people love it, but of
Yeah.
course they love it because they love us. The real sort of test is, how does the general public feel when they come in and give you, honest feedback?
Sure.
Let the Google reviews roll.
Let the Google reviews begin. So as you walk through the entrance of this newest coffee shop, the first thing you see to your left is what I am going to assume is like the state-of-the-art roastery in our area.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to blow smoke up,
Yeah.
but I would say this is the state-of-the-art roastery now in the area. So why did you two decide that was going to be a part of this venture? Or what came of it where you're like, we should do this and we should put it in the same building as the new, I'm assuming, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so our coffee vendor, one of our coffee vendors, Tim Piazza, had told us he was retiring a little over a year ago now. And so when we knew that it was maybe an option, something that we could maybe acquire his company and start roasting our own beans, like we were at a capacity to where that started to make some business sense. But then that would be another building that we would sort of take over his building, his space. And
Which
then
is right over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ended up being very close to where we landed. But then if we knew that coffee roasting was sort of in the mix, and we knew that our community needed a local coffee shop on the west side, that allowed a larger space to be possible for us to look at. And this is a space that I knew about for, I guess, almost 2 years now that was on the market and hadn't moved really at all.
Did you look at it?
Yeah, I looked at it, but
I didn't like it. That was my first hot take.
yeah, she did.
Because of the outside, or did you
The
come
outside,
inside?
and it was really dark. But I think we both saw the vision because it had that stage to the left as you walked in.
Yeah.
We both immediately were like, this would be awesome as like a coffee roastery / cafe.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there is a stage behind us. I know we're doing a podcast, and it's not great to gesture to things, but that stage was there and sort of served as a feature of the Hair Academy originally.
Yeah, they had a barber chair. It
Yeah.
was like,
Oh.
you're
But
getting,
that's the part you're talking about. It was like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stage, like that is where we saw it. Or like, okay, so that stage would be where we could put up the roastery and we could sort of show people, how the coffee is made.
Yeah.
So, and what is what are those things back there? And who's the evil genius, or the mad scientist named Ethan?
Ethan, he just called you an evil genius.
Sorry. Ethan's the furthest.
No, he's
thing
an
from
angel.
evil. Yeah, he's an angel, mad scientist.
Yeah, so in the United States, like the top producer of roasting equipment is arguably the San Franciscan Roaster Company. And so when we were sort of researching,
Hand built, right? Or
yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, they're handcrafted in Carson City, Nevada, and they have a reputation for being able to last for decades. And it was something that kind of intrigued us, and then we saw pictures of them, and we learned about the quality of their team and just how much they put into each machine. It didn't take long for us to be kind of convinced that it was worth the higher price tag for what, especially when they arrived, which maybe we'll get into the part of that story that involves you.
So I just saw my brother-in-law was here, Blaine Mayer, and he was the one who drove over here in the skid steer with the forklifts on the front with his father, my father-in-law, which turned into a
even before
4 hour.
You're leaving yourself. You're rolling this out a little bit because we had got these things delivered, and there are these 4 giant crates just sitting in our parking lot. Yeah. And we have to raise them up like 45 inches off the ground and get them in.
Yeah, we didn't think about that when we saw the stage.
Yeah,
when we were walking into the building,
stage.
we're like, oh, wouldn't the roasters be great on that stage? Oh, wait, it's on a different level.
Yeah.
And
they weigh
1,700 pounds.
Yeah.
So we are like kind of scratching our heads, kind of freaking out early afternoon. And you, Wes, were out like taking a run. You're like, I kind of feel like I want to see what's going on over there.
Yep.
And popped in, and we're calling equipment companies. We're calling Home Depot.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do. And you're like, let me call my father-in-law. Hang on, I got a thought. And there you go. Now you can begin the story.
And then he comes over, and then that was the start of then. I would say close to 3 hour, 2.5 hours, something like that. Adventure.
Harrowing.
Almost.
We called it trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding, yes. I felt trauma bonded. I see several of the team members who were here helping that evening.
Yeah.
But now, I told Blaine too, I said, you should pop around that corner and check out how they look.
So we're doing roasting tours today.
Yes,
We got the clearance from the city like 5 days ago. We started roasting, I don't know, maybe 3 days ago.
Okay.
And it smells amazing in here.
Yeah.
Like every time he starts to roast, I'm like, yes, this is what we imagined.
Yeah.
So I didn't ask him this. When like roasting goes on, is he using both machines, or is it just one thing at a time?
One at a time.
One machine at a time.
Yeah.
I
really
mean, if there's 2, you need 2 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
It really has more to do with the capacity, like how big of a batch you might need. So you're going to have to use a certain amount of gas to get the drum heated up. And if you're just doing a smaller batch, you'd want a smaller machine for that. But you'd want also an expert roaster solely focused on that batch, that roast.
Yeah. So one of them does 25 pounds at a time. The other one does 10.
Okay. Wow. It's 25 pounds a lot of coffee? I guess so. That's 25 bags of coffee, almost bags of coffee.
Yep. That's a good way to look at it. Yep.
Yeah. I guess that's a decent amount, yeah.
So like a busy coffee shop might go through 40 or 50 pounds in a week.
Okay.
If that gives you perspective.
It does, yeah. So will you guys be roasting for the city, or like for other people around the city?
We don't roast currently for anyone else in the city, but we have other wholesale clients that are out of state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we roast for people in the city, but not other coffee shops.
Yeah.
So our model is more for roasting for individuals, or maybe like a brand like Wally Opus, Records,
which we have a blend.
We're working with Youth First, developing a blend for them that allows them to do some fundraising and awareness, building. We're doing a cool thing with Berry Plastics. They're sending out coffee bags to a lot of their employees all over the world, saying like we're proud of our Evansville roots, and our Evansville Coffee Company has roasted these beans on behalf of Berry Plastics.
Okay, sweet, yeah. So, and I will say, doing it myself, coming through the experience, it wasn't here, but it was at the other spot. But it was a full-on experience, learning from Ethan, doing the cupping, doing the whole thing, having a full body yes
Yeah.
for the one that we liked. So
Perfectly imperfect blend.
perfectly imperfect.
So
Very
to
good.
round out your question, yeah, we saw all of that in that instant that Jessica was imagining. It's like that stage could facilitate all of that. So whether someone else is having that cupping experience or you're in line watching them have that experience, that's what we were imagining happening.
It's also just interesting when you think about your immediate reaction and then like a full body yes, like what you're describing. We had just gone through a renovation for our third store, and I mentally was like, oh, absolutely not. But then it's like something started creatively happening when I saw the space that I was like, yeah, you know what? I actually want to put an offer on this place because I think that it could be something really cool. I also really like the idea of us taking buildings that were kind of like not being used, or I think a couple places that we've gone,
Like unconventional.
yeah, like this place had been empty for 2 years.
Yeah.
Nothing was going on. So
Yeah.
it was really cool to like bring it back to life.
How, like, so did you want to have a West Side location already, and then you saw this, and this was like yes,
No,
or it was
no.
like purely
I
like
was not looking.
inspiring.
She wasn't. I was interested in it, but she was more. She was kind of. I mean, but that's always been our dynamic. Like she's like, I'm good, and I'm like, yeah, but what about this?
He's
Yeah.
like, let's
And I'm-
push,
I'm
let's
pushing,
push.
Yeah. So
And
my
now
kids
I'm like,
can relate.
let's rest. Let's enjoy life. Let's go on vacation.
Yeah.
No, that sounds
So-
good right now.
Deserved, yeah. So how does the reality of this of this entire beautiful building reflect your initial full body yes? Like when you walk in and you see it, you're like, holy moly, I can see a vision here. How closely tied is that to the finished?
I think for me that it evolves organically. So
So it's like a give and a take with
yeah,
the space.
it's like I'll make one choice that then I'm like, I don't try to like you have to go when you're submitting plans to the city, you have to go to an architect and he draws up a bunch of things.
Okay.
And it's like you draw up something of what you think it can be.
Okay.
But it's never ends up being what you thought it was going to be. So it's like, I just like kind of creatively just letting it naturally evolve into what it became, which I think is beautiful. And like, I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
But it's not like I walked in and saw this from day one.
Yeah.
But I've been working in it for 9 months. So over time, I just was able to really know it well.
Well, and I see like reminiscent or like I should say like things that you do in other stores are
Yeah.
reflective in this store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
still
it's
got
not, you're not
Jessica's-
starting from
Yeah, everyone says, well, every shop you have is so different. But really, it's like I give each shop its own vibe, but it's still me designing it. So it's still at the end of the day, it's not like it's completely different.
yes.
And
Yeah.
so I think it feels like a honeymoon.
It does. It absolutely does. Yeah.
I was going to ask you that. Does it feel like a honeymoon?
I think so. I think it definitely does. It's it's the people, right? Like I come in and I see a ton of smiling people.
Yeah.
It's loud. Like it's not loud as in annoying, but it's loud as in vibrant.
Some people think it's loud and annoying.
Yeah. Well, if I was here studying, perhaps. But you know, it's alive like a honeymoon coffee shop is. You know.
Yeah.
So for me, it is what I imagined. Like this is what I imagined from like.
You came in and thought we're gonna have this here. Like I
Yeah.
could see this.
I did
Yep.
see this
I do
from
remember
the very
this.
beginning.
Table.
I was
I
like,
saw the
community
place in bare
table
bones.
has to happen. And then Zach ended up building this table.
The
And
family
so-
table.
The Mesa. Yep. Yeah, this table that we're talking about here is about 10 feet long and about 3 feet wide, and it's from reclaimed parts of the workstations, not the workstations, the stylist barber stations from the original Rogers Academy.
Okay.
So we sort of
Yeah.
saved and repurposed those, and I involved each of my kids at different times over the last several months in building it. So
Yeah, do we have
It's-
10 chairs here or 12?
10.
10? So it seats 10.
Beautiful. 12 if you throw a head seat.
Sure.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could maybe make that work.
Yeah. So something that has happened. So I guess the deadline to open kept getting pushed back for various reasons, but because I'm associated with you guys through this, and people know that we're friends, I've gotten the question. not as much as you at all, but at least, I mean, realistically, like 10 times, 15 times from people, when is it going to open? And I asked, I guess tomorrow we're going to find out, or the rest of the week we're going to find out. But my question was,
there was some events that we were like, oh, we really don't want to go to that party because they're just going to everyone's going to ask us when is the West Side opening.
Just don't talk to people. You know what they're going to ask.
Yeah. But do you think, I have this premonition, I could be completely wrong, that the delays have created anticipation that, because I've already been telling people it's open on Tuesday.
We're scared.
Yeah,
I
have a feeling it's going to be.
It's going to unleash on us, and then it's like Black Friday, Small Business Saturday.
Yes. Oh, we are approaching.
It could be. Yeah, there could be something to that. That just the idea of it is, sort of builds in people's minds. I mean, the counter to that could be that their expectations could be so high that we might not be able to meet them. Yeah, we could disappoint them.
I don't know how that would, I don't know what they would be expecting that
is
matched.
Yeah. Well, I know when we opened Newburgh, the town was so excited to have a coffee shop, like a local coffee shop, that people were like coming up to us and thanking us, and it was crazy. And it was such a different thing than what had happened when we opened Burkhart, which was we want things fast.
Yeah.
And so we had to kind of adjust to that like faster pace there. And
that's
so
really interesting.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes here.
So Zach, I don't know if you remember this. Back in the beginning of our walking book club, we talked about the West Side, and I said, living here, there's a real sense of pride for the local community. That people take pride in what is on the West Side. And I think that, I think it's already happening, but I think I think the West Side community is going to adopt Honeymoon West Side as like, that's our coffee shop.
We hope so.
Yeah, and I think you'll have a similar reaction as Newburgh, where it's like gratitude and,
I hope so. And I actually, I feel pretty hopeful that is the way that people are going to respond as well, just based on how just the little anecdotal stories that people have said about what they're...
the roasters in here.
Well,
like not
the
myself
neighbors.
beside, but it's like the neighbor.
That was also one thing. I never really understood when people were like West Side, East Side, but like my grandparents had a farm on the West Side, and my mom went to Wrights, and so I didn't really get the whole West Side versus East Side thing. But then when we bought this building, our neighbors came over to introduce themselves, and I was like, wow, people are really friendly here. This is great.
Yes, yeah. So I'm excited to see how people react.
Well, and if you're right, then what I'll tell people is you can't spell West Side without Wes.
Wow. That is
a new bumper sticker.
Excellent and totally unnecessary remark, but thank you. That's great. So we'll kind of wrap it up here in a sec. I have two more things. So I was listening back on our first on our introduction podcast, and then the first episode. And then I listened back to the last episode, which was really a reflection on the podcast. I didn't want to have a bunch of questions about the podcast, except for, because you kind of covered all that in the last episode. But this question was, Zac mentioned starting the podcast because he had a creative itch to scratch. So after one season...
or series.
Or series. Do you feel that itch has been scratched for a better visual?
I feel like I got chicken pox because now I got all sorts of new scratches, new itches to be scratched. Yeah. Honestly, I love it, and it became a source of tension in our relationship because I loved it so much more than Jessica did. Like, I wanted everything to be included in the podcast, and I found, endless opportunities for meaning making and tying things back to either our business or our team or our relationship or whatever. So everything seemed like, ooh, this could potentially be interesting for the podcast.
Yeah.
So yes, the itch it was scratched in that way, but it just revealed that I have some sort of terrible disease.
So, plot twist. I'm not opposed to the podcast, and I will keep doing it with you if you want.
Wait. Do we have that on the record?
It's recorded.
It was just the timing of it. It would be like we'd worked all day, and then it was like, oh, we have to have this podcast recording done. And it felt like one more thing on my to-do list. So I'm looking forward to not having as much pressure in the future.
Well, and it also was, I feel like I'm the only person who knows like the lunar cycle of like, hey, there's a new moon next week, or there's a full moon.
And I
you're
never
like,
do.
again?
Only person.
Wait, did you say a new moon's tomorrow?
No,
Today.
Oh,
We're in one
okay,
today, babe.
whoops.
But Zach
See?
told me that. I didn't know that either. So he is the guy who's in rhythm.
After 7 years, I should be in
It's
the
okay.
lunar rhythm.
And
You
but
can
I'm not.
outsource
With
that
that.
responsibility to me. I'll take
I
care of it.
do.
So,
I'll
but
let you be my weatherman too.
But I never asked, why did you agree to do, because you were, well, I'm not trying to call you out, but you were hesitant, you know?
I agreed for him.
Yeah.
Happy husband, it doesn't rhyme. There's not a saying with that, but
Yeah,
Are you
I feel
glad
like
now, though?
relationships are a give and take.
Yeah.
So I often want to take. So I need to give too.
Yep.
yeah. I mean, I felt that from you as well. It's like, all right, let's give this dog a bone, and he's.
If I do the podcast, I can decorate it any way that I want.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I think like through I keep thinking that one day you guys or like some like historian who's studying Evansville is like, how did this city come to be? Or like, how did these? I really feel that it was a challenging time because it was another thing on your plate, but it was like. I feel like there's going to be a lot of gold in this podcast that we're going to revisit and rediscover in the future because it was captured during a time where like there was so much happening you probably just don't even really remember what half of it was about, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause there's a lot of good stuff in there just as founders and entrepreneurs and design. I've learned a lot from it, so I thought it was... I'm a genuine fan of the podcast. I'm not just saying that.
I think the thing that was most enlightening for me, talking to people, like finding out the people who actually liked it and the feedback they got, is it was the mix of a entrepreneurship, business-focused podcast, but then with the unique struggles of also being romantic partners and life partners.
Yeah. And then with
Married.
like this project, we're around each other every hour almost of the day.
It's weird that it's really weird that you didn't want to do a podcast after working together all day.
Yeah.
So I hope it inspires like maybe you and Chloe to do some more podcast episodes together.
Yeah, we've
Just-
done one.
Yeah, I loved it. I remember. I don't know if you remember me telling you this. Is like I heard a side of Chloe. The conversation between you guys that I hadn't got to see before. So it's
Great.
like it was a glimpse
That's
into.
always a fun.
And
It
I
was a
said it
glimpse
about
into.
Zac.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
said the same about me. It's like it's a glimpse into like the unique dynamic that the two
In
of
a
you
relationship,
have.
yeah.
Yeah.
So some feedback that I got from a listener was that he would like us to maybe explore for next season, the next series, is maybe inviting on other couple kind of
Great.
founders or entrepreneurs, maybe in our community, and do sort of like a kind of a four-way conversation and capture some of those struggles and the unique way that you do business together.
Because there are, I mean, it was kind of one of the initial
Probably have some coming to
concepts.
mind right now, yeah.
There are several that come to mind that are just around. So, okay, I have a closing remark. Here we go. This is the Newberg thank you thing for the West Side. On behalf of myself, the West Side community, where I'm a resident, and on behalf of every single interaction and meaningful conversation that is going to take place in this building,
Amen.
I want to say thank you to the both of you for not only taking on this building, but for building Evansville's most beloved coffee company.
Aw, that was sweet.
That was sweet.
And I'll let you guys close it out with any remarks you might have. Or anything you want to let people know.
What came up for me when you said that was like there are going to be like tons of meaningful conversations. I mean, who knows how many meaningful conversations even happened this afternoon just with doing our soft
Or
opening.
as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there will be people who will like decide to get married, like at one of these tables,
Yeah.
or like decide to buy
Start
their
a
first
business.
home,
Yeah.
start a business. Like amazing things happen in a coffee shop, and like that's not lost on us. Like that is kind of the magic. So that's what came up for me. So thank you for seeing that, and yeah, we appreciate you.
Yeah. I think
Absolutely.
those types of stories are really uplifting for us and get us through hard days sometimes, because it is hard.
Yeah.
And but it's not lost on us that this is a hospitality business and that we get to do life
Yeah.
with people and that we get to like pour into people, which
Yeah.
is kind of one of our
It's one of
core
our core
values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether that's the team or customers or community members, we're excited. We're excited to get to do this. So
It's awesome. I just had a super meaningful conversation at the Burkhart location on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I wrote that, but hadn't thought about it until you said it for some reason. But I thought about like all of the meaningful conversations I've had at simply your existing locations.
Yeah.
You know, it really is a cultivator of like fresh beginnings or further develop. I don't know. You know, all of that comes from a good conversation.
Yeah.
It's a real place of meeting.
That's it. Yeah.
And meaning.
If you want to a place of meeting and meaning, there
Yeah.
you go. We'll put that on a
the damn
T-shirt.
door. Yeah. All right. Well,
All right.
thank you,
Wes.
and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All
We're going to go
right.
get some rest.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Smoke them if you
Cheers.
got them.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show this week. If you'd like to learn more about Honeymoon Coffee Company, check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. If you'd like to submit a question for a future episode, visit honeymooncoffeeco.com/podcast. This podcast was produced by Wally Opus with editing by Brooklyn Hoffeditz, music composed by Sam Cuban, and project management by me, Wes Luttrell. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back again soon.